Welcome to Mr. Biz Radio, biz talk for biz owners. If you're ready to stop faking the funk and take your business onward and upward, this show is for you. And now, here's Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth.
All right, welcome to another episode of Mr. Biz Radio with me, Mr. Biz, Ken Wentworth. And this week we're going to talk about something that I know is going to hit home with everybody. So who out there this week so far has felt stress? I felt stressed about something at work, personal life, your physical activity, like fill in the blank, right? Your favorite show, one of your favorite character got killed, right? You're feeling stress, all sorts of different forms of stress. We're going to talk this week about some different ways, some innovative ways, and some ways you may not have heard about before of relieving that stress, of de-stressing yourself as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as well as you don't even have to be a business owner, entrepreneur, but also if you are a business owner, your employees. So critically important to make sure that you've got, first of all, you're caring about your employees and that you're making sure that their mental well-being is in good shape, because they're going to be much better employees for you. And it's just the right thing to do. So we're going to talk about a lot of those different things. And again, some different ways of looking at that. Our guest this week is Marbeth Dunn. She's an expert on somatic healing, inner peace, and meditation. She supports and empowers sensitives and empaths to take charge of their energy and release stress and anxiety. Her mission is to guide them in living a joyful, peaceful, and prosperous life through her powerful somatic healing process, intuitive energy mastery. Her inspiring work has been featured on Fox, NBC, CBS, and the CW. She was featured as a mentor in the movie Marbeths Journey and as an expert in the upcoming films The Frequency of Miracles and The Frequency of Longevity. She is the author of Awaken the Healer Within, Overcome Stress, Anxiety, and Illness. So not only have an author, we have a budding movie star here. So Marbeth, welcome to Mr. Biz Radio.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Biz. I really appreciate the intro. It's great to be here.
Yeah, looking forward to having you on. I know it's been a little bit since we initially talked about having you on the show, and I'm glad the time has finally come to talk through some of these things, because as I mentioned, stress is something that it doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a business owner or entrepreneur or not. Everyone feels stress. And I even brought up that silly example of, oh my gosh, your favorite television show and your favorite character got killed off or something. I mean, as silly as that sounds, that does cause some people stress, right? They're really into a show, that can cause stress. The point being that stress is everywhere, unfortunately, and how we deal with stress. I mean, it's inevitable. We're not going to get away from it. So let's figure out how the heck to best handle it. Eliminate as much of it as you can up front, but then the stuff that does sneak through, what are some ways to get rid of it and limit the damage it's doing to us? And so I know you have some unique approaches to that, and I wanted to get into all that. But before we do, tell us a little bit, Marbeth, about your journey.
My journey has been interesting. I am a serial entrepreneur, and I majored in commercial art, got a master's in college student personnel services, and left for Haiti and lived on a mountaintop in Haiti. I lived there for 17 years.
Oh, wow.
And I was a painter. I was Marbeth of Haiti. And of course, we ran into a lot of coups d'etats. Baby Doc was toppled. And so it was time to leave. And so I left. And I became a jewelry designer. But through all of this, and I'll tell you, after that, I was an eBay power seller. And after that, I became an energy healer. And I've been doing that for many years, and also a somatic healing expert now. But throughout all of my early careers, I experienced anxiety and tremendous stress. And all of it was based on trauma that was being held in my body. So I'm an empath and I'm an intuitive, and I'm very highly sensitive. So living in a world of Haiti, for one thing, was triggering. And, there's voodoo there and a lot of negative issues. Yeah. So, and also when I was in college, I experienced a lot of anxiety, panic attacks if I was going to be taking an exam. So I have a history of this. And I know that many people in the audience are also sensitive and may also experience panic attacks or stress or anxiety. And very often it's PTSD, which is what I was experiencing. So, but I want to digress and tell you a little bit more about my career, my current career, which I've been enmeshed in for the last 20 years. I was working as a coach. And I do want to tell you a funny story because one of the things that I really wanted to do was to become, was to lead to lead destination retreats. And of course, I set up an experience for Santa Fe, New Mexico, and another one for Hawaii on the Big Island. But the only thing I forgot to do was to build a list. So you know that as an entrepreneur, things did not go well. But I do want to move to something else where I was working. I had a strategy call with a prospective client. He was in Germany, across the ocean. And as I was talking with him, I started to feel, as an empath, I was feeling what he was experiencing across the ocean. So I had heaviness in my chest. And I wrote it down that the man was experiencing grief. And then it disappeared, and I was feeling knots in my gut. And I realized, oh, this man is having power issues, stabbing in the back under my shoulder blade. I knew he was feeling betrayed. So I got a whole laundry list of what was going on with him across the Atlantic Ocean, and he was in Germany. So I finally said, Franz, I'm an energy healer in addition to being a coach, and I can possibly help you. Are you open? And he said yes. And so this is new territory for me. So I asked his body, what should we do here? And his body communicated to me what he needed. And so I did it, and zap, 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 everything fell into place. It was really remarkable. So that was the birth of my intuitive energy mastery program. And also has a lot to do with somatic healing, because somatic has to do with your body. And your body loves you so much. It holds everything inside, all of your trauma, all of your emotions. And so it's really important that we get that awareness of what's going on in our bodies. And I've noticed that most of the people that I work with, at least initially, are not in their body. They may be up in their head because it doesn't feel safe to be here, especially if you've experienced trauma. So I'm going to turn this back over to you.
Well, no, it's interesting that you say that, Marbeth, because, I in some ways I feel a little bit that when I think this, I'm being a little bit insensitive, but let me explain. I do think that people talk about PTSD. I think they just finally came up with a term for it, whatever it was 15, 20 years ago when they first started to use it, because everyone experiences it in different forms and in different levels of severity, of course, and the long-term impacts that has on you, on your body, on your mind, on your mental well-being, et cetera. But we're going to hit a break here again, talking with Marbeth Dunn. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about how to de-stress and get rid of anxiety.
If you would like to reach hundreds of thousands of business owners every week, Mr. Biz Radio can help. Our show airs globally 7 days a week for more than 25 hours across several internet radio stations, plus 20 plus podcast platforms. Also, video exposure on the new exclusive Mr. Biz Network streaming channel, which gets blasted to 100 plus streaming platforms, and the Mr. Biz YouTube channel, and our 350,000 social media followers multiple times every week. Join Mr. Biz Nation as an advertiser by emailing us at info@MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Check out all 3 of Mr. Biz's best-selling books at MrBizBooks.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. Again, talking with Marbeth Dunn this week. You can find out more on her website, and we'll put this in the show notes as well, but MarbethDunn.com. It's DUNN, MarbethDunn.com. You can also follow her on Facebook, on Instagram, and on YouTube as well. She's got videos out there explaining some of the things that we're going to talk about. We have talked about or going to talk about on the show. I want to back up a little bit, Marbeth, because I'm intrigued. This is a little bit of a tangent, but you mentioned you lived in Haiti for 17 years.
I did.
What was that like? I mean, I'm just very curious. My wife and I love to travel. I've never been to Haiti.
You don't
but
want to go now.
Yeah, well, of course not. But what was it like, when you were there back then? What were some of the, I guess some of the good things, some of the bad things, at least back then?
Well, I love the people, and I used to sit in the marketplace and sketch. And when I sketched, the people would look at what I was doing and they had no clue that what I was doing, was a drawing. They just thought I was an eccentric. And, so I would just catch the rhythm of the people. I really loved the experience in Haiti on so many levels. And it really helped me to really develop. And that's actually where I began my somatic healing, although I didn't know it at the time, because I was a mess. And I had that anxiety and stress. And what really helped me was to be able to draw and sketch and paint. And that really helped so much. But I was able to tap into what was going on inside me because I had questions like, what is going on with me? What's wrong with me? And I learned to use a pendulum, which is something that I discuss in my book, which is Awaken the Healer Within, because that really helped me to connect with what was going on inside me and help me to answer questions of, like you can't ask like what's wrong with me, but you can ask yes or no questions. So, I can, is it this, am I hot or am I cold? You start to tap into what's really going on.
So I guess that's a great segue, and I guess a start of this. For those who aren't familiar, tell us what is somatic healing? Because I know some people are watching or listening right now might say, "This sounds kind of cool. I don't exactly even know what somatic healing is." How would you define it, Marbeth?
It's so interesting. I didn't even know that what I did was somatic healing until about a year ago. Because I had heard the term, and somatic has to do with your body. It has to do with the body holding all of your stress, all of your anxiety, all of your trauma. And your body is constantly speaking with you. It's communicating with you. But, when we're up here, because maybe being in the body wasn't safe for us, or we just never learned that we needed to be there to understand what was happening, it takes awareness and it takes some training to get back inside to learn what your body's trying to tell you.
No, it makes perfect sense because, I think you mentioned a little bit during the first segment of holding a lot of those things, PTSD related type things that happen. And again, unfortunately, everyone I think experiences, traumatic events in their life, whether, again, different levels of severity for different folks, of course, but and I think there's a tendency, at least I would certainly think so, and obviously you're the expert, but to hold some of those things in, especially if you're not a very emotive type of person, that you hold some of those things in. And I'm not very emotive. And so I probably have, I probably would be a great candidate for this because I don't always emote everything. And I think some of it maybe, and you could tell me, I would think that men are probably a little bit more like that, right? Men don't express their feelings as much as maybe females do. Is that something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that something that you see regularly?
Well, I work more with women. However, I do work with men. And I've had some great success with both. And, just to be able to help you, my goal is to not have you work with me, for many, many years. I want to get you going so that you are congruent or basically aligned with what you really want inside of you, and also to release the blocks to your success. And in fact, I was doing that earlier, and just before our filming today, I was working with a client who had some blocks to her success, and I was able to help her to discover what they were, and I have a lot of tips and tricks to help you do that. And then to help her release them. And when we were done, she was so expanded. And yeah, there's still a little work to do, but I know she's going to be attracting so many more clients, which was really what she's been wanting. But because it was not safe, that was another thing. Our bodies want to always keep us safe. And hers, because she had grown up feeling very small and diminished, it wasn't safe for her to be in her power, her full power, to take on the clients that she desired. So, just seeing that breakthrough, it's just so wonderful. It's just really so gratifying for me to see that. And that's really my goal.
Yeah, I'm sure. So let me ask, Marbeth, is the majority of the challenge with somatic healing in just becoming aware of the things that need to be released?
Well, yes, that's becoming aware is important, but also you need to know some techniques to be able to release, because we all have some stress. I mean, I don't think there's one person here who doesn't experience stress. And we all experience maybe some anxiety at different times. So when you have ways of releasing it, it makes things so wonderful. And like with I want to bring this back to businesses, because it's, happy employees are 13% more productive on average than unhappy employees. And globally, around 12 billion working days are lost. That's 50 million years of work every year are lost to depression and anxiety. I mean, that's huge. And I think it's really, really behooves employers to be able to help people, maybe offering programs where they can embody themselves when they're not up here. This is when you're up in your head, that's when anxiety happens. But when you start to embody, through your breath, there's so many breathing techniques that I also get into in my book. But you can, just by taking a deep breath all the way down into your belly and just holding that, and then just letting it follow the breath in your mind out through your nose, and just doing that a few times grounds you. But there's so many ways to ground you and help you release any of this anxiety and stress.
Yeah, I've got a couple of breathing techniques I've learned over the years that I use when I'm particularly feeling stressed. When I used to compete athletically, I would use them in those situations. I use them now if I'm stressed about something and I can really start to feel it. I mean, it's just and they're so simple to do. You could do them driving your car. You could do them sitting at a desk. I mean, the ones it's so simple to actually implement into your life, and again, it's just such a relief to be able to do those things. Again, we're talking with Marbeth Dunn this week. MarbethDunn.com. Also follow on her Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Come back after the break. We're going to talk more about getting rid of stress and anxiety.
How would you like to have direct access to Mr. Biz to help you run your business more profitably and more efficiently? At MrBizSolutions.com, you get live access to not only Mr. Biz, but also several of his hand-picked and trusted business experts, each with 20 plus years of experience to help you optimally manage and grow your business. That's just the start of where Mr. Biz Solutions begins. Learn more at MrBizSolutions.com. That's MrBizSolutions.com.
Attention, Mr. Biz Nation. We have an exclusive offer just for you. Get lifetime access to scarcity countdown timers and logic links for only $69. Yes, you heard it right. Only $69. These tools will add urgency to your email campaigns and website pages, helping you increase conversions, sales, and capture more leads. Don't miss this incredible opportunity. Visit getpulsetools.com now and take your business to new heights.
Got a question for Mr. Biz you want answered on air? Email it to info@MrBizSolutions.com. Now, once again, here's Mr. Biz.
All right, welcome back to the show. Again, talking with Marbeth Dunn this week. She is the author of Awaken the Healer Within, Overcome Stress, Anxiety, and Illness. And as I mentioned during the intro, she's a budding movie star as well. So we're fortunate to have her on the show today. So I want to dive a little bit deeper into this. You had mentioned some breathing things and things like that. One of the things that I've seen, and I know that you help folks with this, but I've seen even with my own particular clients, I've seen with colleagues, I've seen with friends of mine that are business owners, entrepreneurs, and even outside of that space, frankly. But self-sabotaging thoughts.
Oh,
And I remember one particular person when I worked in the corporate world, absolute brilliant guy, but he used self-deprecating humor. By the way, he was hilarious. However, he used it so often that literally during my sort of mentoring sessions with him, I told him, I said, honestly, I think you're holding, and this was 12, 15 years ago. I said, you're holding yourself back because even though you're kind of joking, there's some sort of self-belief in some of those things you're saying. And so, those self-sabotaging thoughts, I think can be common, especially in the entrepreneur world, and business owner world. What are some things that you've seen in your practice with that, Marbeth?
as I was talking about the gal that I was just working with, and she was sabotaging herself because her self-worth was so low, that she was happy with breadcrumbs rather than, allowing all of wonderful possibilities into her life because it was scary. And our bodies love us, as I said, and they will hold that trauma within us. And so we can start to build that safety and that ability to step into a greater place by using somatic techniques. So, for example, you want to ground yourself, and there's so many ways to do that, from going out into nature and standing barefoot or hugging a tree, which, is very simple. Or you can imagine, your imagination is so powerful. You could imagine a cord just going down into the center of the earth and just pull that energy up from the center of the earth and see it as love and peace filling you up. And now suddenly, I think I just felt that with you. You just grounded, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what we need to do. Also, there are ways of releasing that stress and anxiety just by shaking. It's used in so many different techniques. I like the Qigong technique because that's one of the techniques I like to practice. You're an athlete, that brings you in connection with your body. I love yoga. I love Qigong. And one of the ways, and you'll see it also with athletes and baseball. We were talking about baseball earlier. Mm-hmm. The pitcher shakes before he pitches. You've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And so when you shake, like Taylor Swift said, you shake it off. You're shaking off that energy, that anxiety, that stress. And then there are ways using like the emotional freedom technique where you would tap on meridian points. And I have that also in my book, where you can release these issues that are holding you back. And then you can also incorporate what you want. And there's just so many different techniques to doing this. But it's really important that you recognize it. And so often we don't recognize it. And it's happened to me where I've been, I was doing some training for TV several years ago. And the night before I left, I had a pain in my chest. Well, I had to go to the ER. But that was, again, that self-sabotaging. Like, am I big enough for this? Can I expand into this? And you may find that before you're going to do something that's going to help your career, you may find yourself having an accident or something. It happens. But that,
Mm-hmm.
again, is your body protecting you because it feels like you don't feel safe. So it's doing something to protect you. And I actually, several years ago, I spoke on a law of attraction cruise from a wheelchair. So I'm
Oh,
very
wow.
aware of this self-sabotage. And, talk about the irony.
Right, right. So Marbeth, I have to ask. So I got into grounding, gosh, probably a year and a half, 2 years ago.
Right.
And so I do it in a variety of ways, whether I can get outside, and sometimes, I'm living here in Ohio. I can't, during the winter, I can't get my feet on the grass. But I literally bought it's not a whole full sheet, but there's a grounding, it's
That
kind of a sheet, but it's maybe 2 feet wide that is across the bottom, towards the bottom of our bed. So our legs basically touch it when we sleep. Is grounding more for the release of some of these things? Is that what grounding helps you with?
grounding brings you into your connection with the earth. And the earth, when you are, it's part of us. Mother
Mhm.
Earth loves us, and so do our bodies. So it brings us into alignment. It's one of the things that brings us into alignment. I have many grounding techniques and many, for me, it was more about releasing the that hidden saboteur, and also releasing the anxiety and releasing the stress. And also, as an empath and a highly sensitive person, I pick up other people's energy. So what I discovered was a lot of that, what I was feeling wasn't even mine.
Okay.
So grounding will help for that, but I had to learn how to shield myself from, and I know that there are other people on this today that are like, yeah, I know what she's talking about, because, you know, very often you feel like you walk into a party and you feel like, oh, wow, look at the vibes here. This is going to be fun. Or you walk into a party and it's horrible and you just can't wait to get out. Now you're feeling the vibration there. You're feeling the energy of the people there. So we all have that capacity to feel other people's energy, right?
Yeah.
Because we are energy. So when you want to protect yourself as, as a highly sensitive person, what do you do? Because it really doesn't behoove us to take on other people's energy. I've learned when, with developing the intuitive energy mastery technique, as we discussed earlier on this session, I learned that I have a gift where I can feel other people's energy, and they can communicate with me to tell me what's going on in their bodies, in their whole being. And so been able to channel that. But if you are very highly sensitive, here's a tip that I absolutely love. I
Mhm.
imagine that I am Iron Woman. I'm wearing a helmet, I'm wearing gloves, I'm wearing boots, and I have this whole body armor that is protecting me from other people's energies. And I only allow in love, anything that's going to be positive toward me. So that's one of the tips that I use.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny you mentioned earlier, and it made me think. I know we're almost running out of time here, but clearly it demonstrates to me that I was in different headspace and did different times. So the first time I did it, it was the night before I was doing my first TV appearance, and my wife, who's very introverted, like oh my gosh, I could never do that. And I wasn't nervous at all. And I was very confident and felt great. And she said, how can you not be nervous? You're gonna be on television. What if you say something silly? What if you make a fool out of yourself? What if you get a, booger hanging on your nose, or, something silly? And I wasn't worried at all. I was very confident. There have been other times though where I can remember going out to do a speech and feeling a lot of tense energy because I was in a different frame of mind, obviously, in those two different things. Unfortunately, we're out of time here, Marbeth, but I really appreciate the things that you shared with us. Fantastic things. And again, thanks for being on the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I so appreciate being here. So much fun.
Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your week. And don't forget, as always, cash flow is king.
To become part of Mr. Biz Nation, follow him on all social media platforms or never miss a show by going to MrBizRadio.com. If you prefer free video content, visit the Mr. Biz YouTube channel or check out his streaming channel, which is available on 100 plus streaming platforms at MrBizNetwork.com.